Hey listeners, tonight we're doing something a little chilly. We're ditching your cozy duvet and teleporting you straight into the heart of the Arctic wilderness. Imagine this. One moment you're warm in bed, the next, a blast of air so cold it feels like 1,000 tiny needles is stabbing your face. You gasp, and the moisture in your breath instantly freezes into a glittering cloud of ice crystals that pings against your cheeks like miniature shrapnel. Yeah, welcome to the Arctic, where Mother Nature doesn't just give you the cold shoulder, she slaps you with an iceberg. Forget your fancy tent pitched proudly on a mountainside. Out here, that nylon contraption isn't shelter. It's basically a beautifully decorated suicide invitation. You wouldn't last the night. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you enjoy listening to stories quietly before going to bed, or turn off your phone to immerse in the story. Drop a comment below, too. Tell me where you are right now, and what time it is. Is it midnight in Tokyo? Dawn in Berlin? Knowing makes this feel less like a monologue, and more like a weirdly specific global sleepover. Now, dim your phone screen, or put it away, letting its distraction fade for now. Just let your thoughts drift with my voice for a while. Okay, back to the deep freeze. You're standing there, utterly exposed on a vast, blinding white plain under a sky that's either an endless, ominous gray or a dazzling, star-studded velvet curtain, depending on the season. The wind isn't just blowing. It's screaming past your ears, stealing the heat from your body faster than you can shiver. Your fingers, even inside thick mittens, are already screaming in protest, threatening to turn into useless little icicles. Your nose feels like it might snap off. This, my friend, is the brutal reality the Inuit have not just survived, but thrived in for thousands of years. And their secret weapon? It's literally beneath your feet, snow. But not just any snow. Oh no. Picking the wrong snow here is like building your house on quicksand. It's a disaster waiting to collapse on your head and freeze you solid in the process. You need the right stuff, packed by wind and time into a dense, almost concrete-like slab. Forget fluffy powder. You need snow that's been through the ringer, compressed by relentless Arctic winds until it's strong enough to hold you up. Think of it as nature's prefab building blocks. Now, picture yourself kneeling. You pull down your fur-lined hood, just enough to expose your face to the biting air. A truly unpleasant sensation. You're not praying, you're inspecting. You push your mittened hand into the snowbank, feeling its resistance. Then, in a move that would baffle anyone watching from a tropical beach, you lean down and lick it. Yep, you taste the snow. Why? Because the Inuit learned that the feel and the taste tell you everything about its water content and density, crucial info for building something that won't bury you alive. Cold, slightly gritty, and melts slowly? Jackpot. Soft, sugary, and melts instantly? Keep searching, buddy, unless you fancy an icy tomb. Here's a bizarre little nugget. That breath you see freezing? Inside a poorly ventilated shelter, like, say, a tent sealed tight against the wind, all that moisture you breathe out condenses and freezes inside. You wake up not just cold, but literally covered in a frosty layer of your own frozen breath. In an igloo? Clever design prevents that, but we'll get to that magic later. So, you've found your perfect snow patch. Time to get building, right? Well, not quite. You need tools. Forget power saws. You reach for your pana, a beautifully simple crescent-shaped knife, traditionally made from bone, antler, or nowadays, often steel. It's sharp, sturdy, and perfectly designed for one job: slicing through dense snow like a hot knife through butter. Well, frozen butter. This is the core of Inuit survival genius, an intimate, bone, deep understanding of their environment. They didn't fight the Arctic, they learned its language, the language of snow, ice, wind, and animal behavior, and used its own materials to create shelter and tools. It's a masterclass in extreme environmental adaptation. Every cut, every block, is informed by generations of hard-won knowledge passed down under the aurora borealis. You start cutting. Shoomph, shoomph. The pana bites deep, carving out a rectangular block about 2 feet long, 18 inches high, and a foot thick. It's heavy. Lifting it out requires effort. You place the first block carefully on the chosen spot. This isn't just the foundation, it's the anchor point for your entire survival dome. Get this wrong, and the whole thing leans, cracks, or collapses when the next blizzard hits. While you're hefting that heavy block, ponder this. Historians and archaeologists still debate fiercely about when and where dog sledding first became a crucial part of Arctic life. Was it a single brilliant innovation that spread, or did different groups stumble upon it independently across the vast frozen north? The sled dogs might know, but they're not talking. You cut the next block, and the next. You're not stacking them straight up like bricks on a house. Oh no. That would get you a very cold, very unstable box. Instead, you start angling them ever so slightly inwards. Just a tiny tilt with each course. It feels counterintuitive. Why make the walls lean in? Wouldn't that make it weaker? But trust the process. This subtle inward curve is the first whisper of the Igloo's secret. The self-supporting dome. It's the beginning of a spiral that will eventually close over your head, creating a shelter far stronger than any flat walls could ever be against the Arctic's fury. As you place the fourth, then the fifth block, the wind howls around you, trying to snatch the warmth from your core. Each block you lift feels heavier, your muscles burning with the cold and effort. You glance at your growing low wall. It's not much yet, just a crescent of white blocks against the endless white, but it's a start. It's hope carved from ice. The real magic, the part where physics does a spectacular pirouette, is coming. But for now, your fingers are numb, the light is fading fast into the long polar twilight, and the wind just won't stop screaming. Your knuckles ache, raw and red even through the thick mittens, protesting the brutal cold and the effort of hauling those heavy, dense snow blocks. You've got the beginnings of a crescent-shaped wall rising from the endless white, a fragile promise of shelter against the screaming wind that seems determined to peel your skin off. Just a few more blocks, you think, reaching for your pana to cut another one. Surely, the hardest part is over. You brace yourself against the gale, ready to slice into the pristine drift beside you. A chunk of snow, dislodged by the wind from somewhere unseen, smacks you squarely in the side of the head. It doesn't hurt much through your hood, but the sheer indignity of it, the Arctic itself literally throwing snowballs at you, makes you sputter. And in that moment of sputtering, a fleck of snow lands on your chapped lips. Instinctively, your tongue darts out. It's cold, obviously, but also gritty, like licking fine sandpaper. And it melts slowly, leaving a faint, almost metallic tang. Weird. That's when the old Inuit hunter, guiding you, chuckles, a sound like stones tumbling in a dry creek bed. He points away from the drift you were about to desecrate with your blade. Aput ilitukak, he might say, his voice barely audible over the wind. Not that snow. That snow is lazy, weak. It'll crumble like stale bread when you try to build with it, burying your hopes and maybe you along with them. He gestures instead towards a different drift, sculpted by the wind into a long, smooth, hard-backed ridge. It looks less inviting, less fluffy. Kneeling beside it, he pulls off a mitten with teeth that seem improbably strong and white. With bare fingers that look impervious to the cold, he brushes the surface lightly. Then he leans down, takes a deliberate lick of the snow itself. He nods, satisfied. Popsicle, he grunts. This snow. Good snow. Strong snow. Your turn. You kneel, the cold seeping instantly through your pants. You mimic him, brushing away the loose top layer. The snow beneath feels incredibly firm, dense. You hesitate for only a second. This feels deeply bizarre, like licking a sidewalk. Then lean in. Lick. It's shockingly cold, making your teeth zing, but the texture, it's different. Denser, smoother. It melts even slower than the gritty stuff that hit your face, leaving almost no immediate wetness. And the taste? Clean. Very cold, but clean. Almost blank. No grit, no weird tang. Just pure, frozen potential. Here's the truly wild part. The kind of detail that makes you question everything. In extreme situations, or for the absolutely critical keystone blocks at the top of the igloo, some elders wouldn't just lick it. They'd, well, pee on a small test patch. Why? Because warm urine melts weak snow instantly, revealing hidden flaws or layers of softer powder underneath that the eye or tongue might miss. Strong Popsicle resists the assault, proving its structural mettle. Talk about commitment to quality control. This, you realize, shivering on your knees, isn't just about snow. It's about fluency. The Inuit aren't just using snow. They're reading it. They understand its dialect, its mood, its hidden strengths and fatal weaknesses. Wind-packed snow is different from fallen snow, and within those categories, age, temperature, history, and wind direction create endless subtle variations. This profound, granular knowledge of snow mechanics, its density, crystal structure, like the difference between sturdy, interlocking plates and weak, loose needles, and bonding potential, is the absolute bedrock of igloo construction. It's applied material science, honed over millennia of trial, error, and survival. Getting the snow right isn't step one. It's the foundation of everything. Now, lean in close for a hot, scholarly debate simmering beneath all this ice. Are the Inuits' incredibly precise terms for different types of snow and ice, dozens, maybe hundreds of specific words depending on the dialect and region, evidence of a unique snow language or lexicon? Or is it simply an example of extreme linguistic specialization within their existing language structure, born of absolute necessity? Linguists have been politely but firmly disagreeing about this for decades. Does the sheer number and specificity of terms fundamentally reshape the grammar and thought processes? The jury's still out, thawing slowly by the academic fire. Armed with this newfound respect for snow tasting, you get to work on the Popsicle. Using the pana, you slice carefully, leveraging the knife's curve to follow the natural cohesion of the wind-packed slab. The blocks come out cleaner, denser, with a satisfying heft. You place them on your growing crescent wall, meticulously following the slight inward tilt established earlier. But now, something crucial shifts. You're not just stacking, you're starting the spiral. Picture it. Instead of laying each block flat like a brick, you bevel the edges. You shave a slight angle onto the top and bottom surfaces where they'll meet the next block. As you place block number 7, you see it a gentle, rising curve. It's subtle, almost imperceptible at first, like the first turn of a seashell. You place block 8, angling it just a fraction more inward and upward along this emerging curve. Block 9 follows the same incremental tilt. It feels precarious, illogical, like building a tower while deliberately leaning it. Every instinct screams that this shouldn't work, that it should just topple over. But the blocks hold. The angled cuts create larger contact surfaces, and the inward tilt creates a locking effect. The wind, which moments ago was trying to flatten you, now seems to flow around the growing structure, baffled by its shape. This isn't just building, it's weaving a frozen basket, each block leaning on its neighbor, distributing the weight and the wind load in a continuous strengthening loop. It's the architectural equivalent of a vaulted cathedral ceiling, but born from ice and desperation. The spiral is the Igloo's hidden superpower, its defiance against the Arctic's fury encoded in geometry. And you're only just beginning to trace its first, faint line against the howling white. Your shelter is starting to whisper back to the wind. But the dome's peak, that critical moment of closure, that's where things get truly interesting and potentially terrifying. Your tongue might have passed the snow test, but can your nerves handle the ceiling? That seventh block, it feels heavier than the others, slick with cold sweat inside your mittens. Or maybe it's your own fear making it slip. You're crouched halfway up the growing curve of the igloo wall now, the wind shrieking like a banshee around the partially formed dome. Below you, the entrance tunnel gapes like a dark mouth, already offering a sliver of shelter from the direct blast. But up here, you're exposed. The Arctic isn't just cold, it's alive, furious, a giant trying to swat away this insolent white mushroom sprouting on its pristine plain. And you're holding the next piece of its cap. You heft the block, its edges precisely angled by your pana. The spiral is undeniable now, a graceful, rising curve that defies the flat, deadly emptiness surrounding you. Block 6 leans securely against 5. Block 7 must slot perfectly against 6, tilted just that fraction more inward and upward. You bend your knees, lowering yourself slightly to find the exact spot. Your breath plumes out, freezing instantly into tiny stars that sting your cheeks. The wind grabs your parka hood, trying to yank you backwards into the white chaos. You grit your teeth, focus narrowing to the icy seam where the new block must meet the old. You position it, lower it, almost there. A sudden, stronger gust slams into the structure. The whole igloo seems to groan. Not a loud sound, but a deep, unsettling vibration transmitted through the snow blocks beneath your boots. Your hand wobbles. The heavy block tilts just a millimeter off. Your heart lurches into your throat. Too far out. It's barely noticeable, a hair's breadth. But in this geometry, this delicate dance of compression and tension, it's a potential death warrant. That tiny outward tilt creates a weak point, a lever for the relentless wind to exploit. Place it like that, and the entire dome above could decide it's had enough, cracking along that fault line when the next big gust hits. You wouldn't be buried. You'd be pulverized under tons of collapsing snow, then flash frozen. Panic, cold and sharp, pricks your spine. You almost drop the block. But then, something deeper kicks in. Muscle memory from watching the elder? Instinct? You shift. Not the block itself, but your whole body. You push inward with your shoulder, countering the block's slight outward lean, pressing it firmly, relentlessly, into the waiting embrace of Block 6. You feel the dense snow compress minutely, the angled edges biting, locking. You hold it there, breathing hard, the wind screaming its frustration. The vibration settles, the groan fades. The block stays, perfectly aligned, perfectly locked. A shaky breath escapes you. That was close. Too close. But in that moment of near disaster, the igloo's secret weapon snapped into focus. This isn't just a pile of snow bricks. It's a continuous compression arch. Every single block, from the massive foundation stones to the tiny keystone that will eventually crown the dome, is under constant, gentle pressure from its neighbors. The spiral ensures the load travels downwards and outwards, in a smooth, unbroken curve, pushing the force into the sturdy base and the packed snow platform beneath. The wind? It flows over the smooth, curved surface. It can buffet it, howl at it, but it can't easily get a grip to lift or shear it. Trying to knock down an igloo is like trying to push over a stone archway by blowing on it. The harder the wind pushes, the harder the blocks press together, strengthening the structure. It's genius carved in ice. You step back carefully inside the partial shelter, your pulse finally slowing. You glance at the wall where you almost failed. Something catches your eye. Where the cold outer surface meets the slightly warmer air inside your half-built shelter, tiny beads of moisture are appearing. Not melting exactly, more like condensation. The ice wall is sweating. You reach out a hesitant, mittened finger and touch it. The sensation is bizarre. The snow block feels solidly frozen, yet your mitten comes away slightly damp, and the air near the wall, it feels fractionally less biting. A whisper of warmth clinging to the ice? It makes no sense. Outside is a howling freezer. Inside shouldn't feel different yet, but it does. It's the first, faint hint of the igloo's second act of defiance, creating its own microclimate. You remember the elder mentioning dogs, strong ones, hauling sledges loaded with meat or hides across the endless white. The image floats in your tired mind, powerful animals bred for this frozen world. But when exactly did that partnership begin? Was it a single brilliant moment of domestication lost in time, or did different bands of people, scattered across the vast lonely ice, each slowly forge their own pact with the wolf's descendants? The origins of that bond, crucial for survival across these distances, remain wrapped in the same swirling snow that obscures the horizon, debated by scholars tracing faint clues in bone fragments and ancient campsites. Shaking off the thought, you prepare for the next block. The curve is tightening. The walls are rising higher, closer together. The opening above is shrinking, becoming a jagged white hole through which the angry gray sky glowers down. The wind funnels through that opening now with an eerie whistle, a constant reminder of the void waiting to be sealed. You cut the next block, smaller than the last, the spiral demanding precision. Lifting it requires more care. Space inside the curving walls is getting tighter. You maneuver it into position, feeling the increasing inward pressure of the structure itself guiding your hands. The blocks above seem to lean down, hungry for their next partner. You slot it home. Click. The satisfying sound of snow compressing under perfect alignment. Another piece of the frozen puzzle falls into place. The igloo isn't just shelter. It's becoming a living equation written in wind-packed snow, a theorem proving warmth can be coaxed from the heart of cold. And the final, most delicate move, sealing yourself inside with the sky, is coming faster than you think. The Arctic holds its breath, or maybe that's just you. The final block rests in your hands, smaller than your head, shaped like a rough, icy wedge. Above you, the last jagged opening gapes, a jagged eye staring down at the Arctic storm still howling outside. You're standing hunched inside your almost complete shell, the curving walls pressing close, the air thick with the chill of exertion, and something else, something unexpected. You can feel it now, a subtle shift pressing against your skin. It's not warmth, not yet. It's the absence of that knife-edge wind. It's stillness. A profound, almost sacred quiet that amplifies the muffled shriek of the gale beyond the walls. And in this stillness you see it. The beads of moisture on the inner walls have multiplied. They glisten faintly in the dim light filtering through the snow blocks, like a constellation of tiny frozen stars clinging to the ice. You take a deep breath. The air entering your lungs feels different, less like shards of glass, more like cold silk. It still bites, but it doesn't steal. This is the moment. You reach up, arms trembling slightly from fatigue and cold, guiding the final keystone block towards its destined slot. The opening is tight, the angles unforgiving. One misalignment, one slip, and the delicate balance holding tons of snow aloft could shatter. You push gently, feeling the resistance of the surrounding blocks. You rotate the wedge minutely. There, a soft scraping sound, a yielding compression. The block slides home. Snick. Darkness, utter, complete darkness swallows you. For a heart-stopping second, there's only the sound of your own ragged breathing and the muted, distant roar of the storm, now sounding strangely contained. Like a furious beast locked outside a thick door, you fumble for your small seal oil lamp, the traditional quillic, a spark, a flare of precious flame. Golden light blooms, weak at first, then steadying, painting the curved walls in flickering amber. The effect is breathtaking. The igloo transforms. The rough snow blocks, carved under duress, glow with an inner luminescence. The sweat beads on the walls catch the light, sparkling like trapped fireflies in ice. It feels ancient, primal. A cave, carved from light and frozen breath. You shrug off your heavy outer parka, a move that would have been suicidal mere minutes ago outside. You're down to your inner layer. It's still bitterly cold, make no mistake. Your breath still plumes thickly in the lamplight. But the paralyzing, bone-deep agony of the wind is gone. The cold is manageable, tamed. How? You touch the wall again, near the lamp. The ice feels solid, unyielding. Yet, your mitten comes away distinctly damp. And the air right next to the wall, it feels fractionally warmer than the air in the center of the small space. That's the igloo's second magic trick unfolding. Your body heat, the heat from the tiny flame, the heat from your breath. It all radiates outwards, warming the air trapped inside the dome. This warm air rises, naturally. But when it hits the curved, frozen ceiling, it doesn't just cool down, it condenses. That's the sweat, you see, water vapor turning back to liquid on the cold surface. But here's the kicker. When water vapor condenses, it releases heat, a surprising amount of it. It's called the latent heat of condensation. So, the very act of the walls sweating, of the moisture in the air turning back to water on the ice, is actually pumping warmth back into the igloo. The colder the wall, the more condensation happens, the more heat gets released. It's a feedback loop of cozy defiance. The lamp flame flickers, casting dancing shadows. You notice something else. The inner surface of the snow blocks, where the sweat is forming, isn't melting away. It's glazing. The constant cycle of slight melting from the warm air hitting it, and immediate refreezing, because the bulk of the block is still deeply, deeply cold, creates a thin, smooth layer of ice on the inside. This ice layer is crucial. It's far less porous than the snow beneath it. It acts like a sealant, trapping the slightly warmer air inside and preventing the wind, sneaking through microscopic gaps in the snow blocks, from whisking it away. It's nature's perfect vapor barrier and radiant heat reflector, formed spontaneously by the igloo's own microclimate. Think of it as an invisible, self-sealing thermal blanket clinging to the walls. A memory surfaces, sharp and incongruous, watching a documentary about desert nomads using woven goat hair tents that somehow stayed cool. The principle felt opposite, yet somehow parallel, manipulating natural materials and physics to create a habitable bubble in an extreme environment. Was this ingenuity born of similar desperate need, echoing across continents and climates? The specific origins of such profound shelter technologies, whether sparked by isolated genius or convergent evolution of human problem-solving under duress, remain a fertile ground for archaeologists and anthropologists to gently spar over campfires of their own. You settle onto a caribou hide laid on the snow floor. The difference is astonishing. Outside, the temperature is plummeting towards 50 degrees Celsius, a cold that can freeze exposed skin in minutes. Inside, huddled near the small lamp, without your bulky outer fur, you estimate it's hovering around freezing, maybe a few degrees above. It's not tropical, but compared to the murderous cold just inches away through the snow, it's a sanctuary, a pocket of survivable cold. You can feel your muscles slowly unclenching, the desperate edge of survival panic receding. The howl of the wind is now a background drone, a reminder of the frozen world held at bay by this perfect geometry of ice and physics. The air smells of snow, cold stone, and the faint, clean scent of burning seal oil. You take another slow breath. This isn't just shelter from the storm. It's a demonstration of pure, elegant intelligence wresting life from the frozen void. The igloo breathes around you, a living shell sculpted from winter's heart. And somewhere, deep within the glowing ice walls, a deeper warmth stirs. Not just physical heat, but the quiet pulse of generations who learned to whisper comfort to the coldest night on earth. That pulse, you sense, is about to reveal its most tender beat. The Quilix's flame dances, a tiny, defiant sun in your frozen universe. Its light paints shifting golden patterns on the glazed ice ceiling, patterns that seem to deepen and swirl as your eyelids grow heavy. The profound quiet inside the igloo, so starkly different from the wind's relentless scream beyond the walls, sinks into your bones. It's a silence thick with the soft sounds of survival, the faint hiss of the lamp, the almost imperceptible crackle of settling snow blocks, the deep, slow rhythm of your own breathing. You pull the caribou hide tighter, its dense fur trapping precious pockets of air warmed by your body. Exhaustion, the deep, marrow-deep kind earned by wrestling winter itself into submission, tugs at you. But there's something else, too, nestled beside the fatigue, a profound sense of safety, earned. Fragile, perhaps, but utterly real. You shift slightly, and your gaze falls on a small raised platform built into the curved wall opposite you, packed with softer snow and layered thickly with more hides. Nestled within them, cocooned like a precious secret, is the reason your heart beats a little softer now. A tiny face, barely visible in the furs, breathes steadily. An infant, asleep. Utterly peaceful, utterly trusting in this dome of ice against a world designed to freeze life solid. The sight is almost jarring. Outside, metal snaps. Trees, if there were any, would shatter like glass. Yet here, wrapped in furs and the igloo's carefully crafted microclimate, this vulnerable new life sleeps, warm, protected. Her breath forms tiny, vanishing clouds in the lamplight near her face, a stark counterpoint to the lethal frost just beyond the snow blocks. You reach out slowly, not to touch her, but to gently rest your mittened hand against the ice wall just beside the sleeping platform. The sensation stops you. Through the thick fur you expect the brutal bite of cold, but it's not there. The ice feels neutral, firm, yes, frozen solid, absolutely, but it doesn't steal your heat. It's a barrier, not a predator. And beneath your palm, you swear you can feel a faint, deep resonance. Not a sound, but a thrum. The low, constant pressure of the wind outside pressing against the dome. The subtle vibration of the structure settling. Or is it something else? Is it the echo of 1,000 such nights, 1,000 such shelters, built under 1,000 frozen stars? The accumulated warmth of generations who refused to yield, who learned to build hope from despair's raw materials. Your fingertips, even through the mitten, seem to trace the slow, steady pulse of that ancient endurance. It's the warmth of ingenuity, of observation honed to razor sharpness by necessity, passed down from trembling hands to steady ones around fires that defied the dark. It's the warmth of community, of knowledge shared not in books, but in the precise angle of a snow knife, the knowing lick of a wind-packed drift, the careful spiral rising against the gale. This igloo isn't just snow and physics. It's a vessel carrying the vital, glowing ember of human resilience across the frozen centuries. The lamp flame dips lower, its light softening, deepening the shadows and the curves of the ceiling. The storm's roar seems to soften too, fading into a low, distant murmur, like the sea heard from far inland. The cold is still present, a crisp edge to the air, but it's held at bay, transformed from a killer into a mere presence. The gentle rhythm of the sleeping child's breath becomes the only sound you truly hear, a soft metronome marking the passage of time within this timeless shelter. You sink deeper into the furs, the exhaustion finally winning, a warm, heavy tide pulling you down. The ice walls around you feel less like a barrier now, more like an embrace. The thrum beneath your palm seems to synchronize with your own slowing heartbeat, a lullaby hummed by the ice itself. The golden patterns on the ceiling blur and swim, merging into the darkness behind your eyelids. The Arctic night stretches vast and cold beyond your fragile dome, but here, now, in this pocket of stillness carved from the storm's heart, there is only this deep, hard-won peace, this profound, frozen warmth. The lamp flickers one last time, a golden wink, and surrenders to the gentle dark. The quiet deepens, thick and soft as the firs around you. That last whisper of wind, has it finally stilled, or has it simply folded itself into the profound silence within the walls? The cold air rests gently against your cheek, no longer biting, just present, like the cool side of a pillow. The memory of the storm, the frantic cutting of blocks, the taste of snow, the near miss with the seventh stone, they all blur, softening at the edges, receding like a tide going out. The precise geometry of the dome, the physics of condensation and heat, they melt away too, leaving only the feeling of being held, cradled, enveloped by the deep, resonant hum of the ice itself, a vibration so low it's felt more than heard, a lullaby older than language. Breathe in, slow, the air crisp, clean, tasting faintly of snow and stone and stillness. Breathe out, letting the weight of the day, the cold, the effort, dissolve like breath clouds vanishing in the dark. Your body sinks, heavy and warm, into the yielding hides. The boundaries soften. Where does your warmth end and the shelter's embrace begin? The gentle rhythm of a tiny breath nearby, the slow, sure pulse beneath your palm against the ice wall, they become one rhythm, your rhythm. A slow, deep tide pulling you further down into a place beyond thought, beyond cold. The darkness behind your eyelids is velvety, deep, welcoming. It's not the dark of the storm outside, but the dark of deep earth, of safe roots, of seeds resting before the spring. It's the dark where dreams begin to stir, soft and formless as snowdrifts under the stars. Let go. Just let go. Into this quiet, this deep, frozen warmth, held safe, drifting.